What's it like? Go ahead.
How different does it feel this year compared to last year?
It feels a lot different. I feel more confident and more comfortable out there. I just feel like, this is gonna be the year for me. Like I said, I feel more confident than I did last year. Coming in the door, I was a little nervous, a little timid, but I feel like this year I'm taking that next step in the role that I got to step up in.
Is there already that sense you got to be a leader out there?
Yeah, definitely. It's a lot of young guys. We got a lot of new guys on the team. I got a big role this year. It's just coming to me to capitalize it and make the most of it.
What's your sense of what's going to be different about this defense already? I mean, obviously you lost a lot of guys, so the different personalities mean different.
Yeah, like you said, different personalities. I feel like we come together as a team. We got a lot of guys out there that talk. We got Earl Little. He talks a lot. Jermaine obviously is one of the sparks of the defense, and then Peyton Pierce. He's taking that next step too. So I just feel like just a new group of guys. We all learn each other, and then it'll help us come together.
How long did it take you timid last year?
I was a little timid last year. I was just nervous out there. But I feel like this year, I just calmed down a little bit. Like I said, I gained my confidence back, and I feel like it's just gonna be that year.
Did that wear off last year?
It kind of wore off towards the end of the season. Obviously during the beginning of the season, my freshman year, I was still trying to learn a lot of things. But I feel like towards the end of the season, and then especially in that Miami game, the way I went out there and played, that's when I realized I could really do this.
How was that showing up this spring in terms of your approach and maybe how you're playing?
It's showing up a lot. Like I said, just being confident out there. Not caring about who's in front of me, going against the best. I go against JJ, BI, all these guys every day. This is the best of the best. So I feel like, if I go out there and have the confidence against them, can't no receiver in the country mess with me.
Who's been winning those reps more often than not you or JJ?
It goes back and forth. It's iron on iron. So I feel like, I'm not going to discredit him. He's the best player in the country. Coach Watt tells us all the time, if he falls in the draft, he's going to go too. So I feel like, that's like you can't wish for nothing better than that. So I feel like, it just goes back and forth. I win some, he wins some, but it's just best on best.
How did year one expectations for you impact the way you felt like? Because obviously you coming in 5'5", one corner, all that stuff, people telling you you're going to be the next guy, and then it's not as easy as you think when you get here. How did those expectations, do you think, weigh on you last year, and how have you changed your own perception?
Last year I feel like it was heavy. It was on me a lot. To produce, and I feel like I failed myself and I didn't produce. So I feel like this year is just taking that next step and realizing what I could have did last year. Towards the end of the season, after that Miami game, I realized if I would have just did this all season, it could have been a whole different outcome. So I just feel like when we went into the off season, I told Coach Watt I'm not stepping back this year. I'm coming in full head. I'm foot on the gas. I'm not letting up, and it doesn't matter who's in front of me. I'm gonna win.
How did last year for you impact the way you talk to someone like Jay, for example? And another guy coming in, number one on the corner in the country. What is your advice to him? How have you guys been able to work through their expectations?
Just telling him bro, just go out there, play, be yourself, be comfortable. Because last year I didn't have the confidence. I didn't, to speak. I feel like this year, if what I went through last year, I can tell him that, man, just go out there, have fun, be confident. You're a freshman, you're gonna mess up. It's a hard defense. So I went through that. So I'm just telling him just calm down, just go out there, just relax. We got you. If you mess up, somebody's gonna make you right. So I just feel like just telling him, being there for him, watching film of him all the time. I feel like he's gonna be great.
Is there such a thing from a confidence standpoint of? Is it come down to when to pull the trigger, when not? You know what I mean? From the standpoint.
Yeah.
How does that manifest itself?
When you're confident, it just comes quicker. You see the plays faster.
Yeah.
You see everything. You see the big picture. You're not just focused on your assignment. When you're confident and you have that ability to be like, I can really do this. You see everything. You see routes faster. You see the quarterback. You see where the ball's going. You can process things faster before the snap, and then while the play's going. So I just feel like for me that was a big thing. And now that I'm that confident, I see a lot of things faster, and I can read routes faster.
With Caleb's not coming back, I don't know if you heard that word. But is Earl, is he the guy? Terry Moore stepped up. We understand he's having a pretty good spring. He has been. Who's that guy that's kind of maybe not replacing Caleb, but stepping into those shoes to a certain extent?
I think it's Jalen McClain.
Yeah.
Jalen's being real vocal out there. He's talking. He's leading the secondary. You know, if somebody messes up, you know, on the coverage, you know, he makes them right. So I feel like it's definitely Jalen McClain, but Earl Little is definitely that too. He comes down, you know, he sets the tone. He'll go smack a running back right in the face, and then, you know, he'll just come back and talk to you, let you hear it. So I feel like it's both safeties.
How long did it take him to fit in? I mean,
He fit in. He fit in right away.
Why?
You know,
Why do you think?
no, it's just the culture. You know, being confident in the cornerback room and the safety room is what you need. If you're not confident, then you're not gonna be in the room. If you don't talk, you're not gonna be in the room. So I feel like, you know, Earl he fit in right away.
When you talk about the things you feel like you could have done better last year, like what do you look at last year and feel like I didn't do this as well as I could have?
You know, I didn't process things faster. I didn't, you know, I let my teammates down sometimes. You know, just being out there, just being a freshman, you know, making freshman mistakes. And you know, I didn't have the margin of error for that because, you know, I was hard on myself. Like I really want to, you know, be that guy. So it's just like these mistakes that I was making, it wasn't right, and not processing things fast enough.
What steps are you taking to take that next step in year 2?
The steps I'm taking, watching more film, you know, changing my habits outside of here. You know, I feel like I've been watching, you know, a lot of podcasts on, you know, like my mindset and, you know, career development, you know, just a lot of things that I could take, you know, and add to my day-to-day plan.
What kind of podcasts?
You know, it's just different podcasts. You know, I've been watching a lot of Kobe podcasts. It's this guy on YouTube. It's like, I think his name is like Mindset Member or something like that. You know, it's just a lot of mindset things and, you know, consistency, you know, how to do, you know, certain things in your day-to-day life.
Last one over here.
What are some goals for this year coming 2026?
Some goals this year, obviously, you know, do better than I did last year, for one. You know, I want to be a Thorpe finalist. I want to win a Thorpe for sure. I want to be an All-American. I want to be a Big Ten All-American. I want to be Big Ten DB of the year. So it's a lot of things that I have on the table that I want to accomplish.
Thanks, Devin.
Thank you. Appreciate it.